A lot of Chicago Bears everywhere are not only disappointed, hurt, and downright disgusted after the Week 10 loss to the New England Patriots. The players are as well. And we're starting to see more and more players that seemingly like they're out on this coaching staff and that they have lost the faith in the coaching staff if it ever there existed. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. We're also going to talk about Matt Eberflus mentioning a potential change of offensive play callers and what that could actually bring to the Chicago Bears. But more importantly, we're going to look at the reaction from Caleb Williams and Kevin Byard in regards to that and hear from your guys' reaction as well at Week 10. We're getting into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. And like many Bears fans everywhere, I sit disgusted. Not only disgusted at the state of this team, but disgusted at the fact that every single year that we get any type of confidence or faith or hope in this team, it all comes crashing down at some point in the season. Now, the Bears are 4-5 on the season. They have a lot of games where they could still have to be turned around. But the fact of the matter is that where the Bears have been sitting now, their play on the field, the play calling, every facet and aspect of this game, the health also being a big part into that. The Bears are disappointing. And the Bears have really lost a lot of faith from Bears fans that had some faith and hope coming into the season. And we just keep showing a level of incompetence as an organization that really is just hard to continue to ignore. And it's outrightly just disrespectful to the passion that a lot of Bears fans have about this franchise and about this organization, about this team, right? And we're talking about Bears fans not just in the city of Chicago, but Bears fans everywhere across the world. And unfortunately, we sit in another position again where we're at yet another crossroad of what needs to happen with this Bears team, right? You have your Bears fans that sit in the camp of Matt Eberflus needs to be fired now. You have your Bears fans that sit in the camp of blaming more Ryan Poles. You have your Bears fans that sit in the camp of thinking it's Caleb Williams and not the offensive line. Wherever you sit, it all comes down to the same thing: disappointment. That's where this Bears team sits right now, is a level of disappointment that it's palpable. You can feel it in every aspect and corner of where this franchise is. And it's really unfortunate that we find ourselves here yet again after such an offseason of change, but Ryan Poles not addressing a big part that need to be changed in that offensive line. It's evident. It's clear, right? And maybe even in that coaching staff. Matt Eberflus should not have been retained. And while, Hard Knocks and things had some good vibes and feelings around this team, and even Matt Eberflus to a degree, we're right back where we were at the end of last season, where most of us were saying Matt Eberflus should not be retained as the head coach of the Chicago Bears. Now, Ryan Poles and this franchise are going to have to do some things. Do I think they're going to move off a head coach in the middle of the season? Unfortunately, I do not. I just don't. I don't have the faith of them to do it. And even if they did do it, that to me would be punting the season away. Not to say that they're not doing that anyway, but that's just what it would indicate to me personally. But more so than anything, it's how this coaching staff is losing the faith up from the players. And that was really evident in Caleb Williams in his post-game press conference. Now, he was asked a couple of questions. I would say go and look at the press conference in full because you'll get to see this young man, his body language. He looks defeated. He looks over it. But he kind of said the right things. And Caleb Williams has shown a level of media savvy in a way, right? That he's saying what needs to be said, but he's not outwardly throwing his coaches under the bus. But he said this. He was asked about a new play caller potentially coming in. He said this: they're not going to reinvent the wheel. We're mid-season. That's not a decision for me. I have to do what the coach says. Whatever decision he makes, I have to be fine with. Will I be able to adapt? Yes, I will. We will be able to adapt to whatever decision he makes, and from there, we have to go out there, execute, and win games. This was such a loaded comment in the sense that it is, and if you pair that with the body language, you're seeing Caleb Williams say, hey, listen, don't worry about if we can adapt. Make the right decision. Yes, I will be able to adapt. Yes, we will be able to adapt as a team. We don't want to have the excuse of, well, we didn't want to make a change at play caller because what were we going to do in the middle of the season? That could throw off the player's balance or anything. Listen, the player's balance is thrown off. We lost to the New England Patriots. It's thrown off Matt Eberflus. It's thrown off Ryan Poles. It is what it is. This team is shaken, right? This team does not have that same edge that we had at the beginning of the season, coming into the season with confidence coming out of training camp and the preseason. We don't have that. And so those words from Caleb Williams were very poignant. And they also hit very hard. And he went on to say this. When asked about his confidence in the head coach, he says, am I confident in my head coach? Yeah, I'm confident in my head coach. They brought me here for a reason. They brought all of us here for a reason. As players, when we're in the locker room, we know how good we are. We know how good we can be. And right now, we're not executing. We're not hitting on all cylinders. Love that aspect of it as well, because it still puts a lot of the onus on Caleb Williams. And make no mistake about it. When we talk about the things and aspects of this team that failed in Week 10, Caleb Williams failed as well. He's not going to escape that criticism, at least not for me, on his game that he put up in week 10, and the fact that he came up against another rookie quarterback and came out on the losing side of it. Caleb has to be better. But when you see the way that Caleb Williams is talking about it and letting anybody know that he's going to be able to adapt, listen, Caleb Williams is doing something that you see veterans do, right? And how they use the media and how they use interviews and how they navigate through those type of interviews and post-game press conferences, while making their feelings known very loudly for anybody who's really trying to listen to what that is, but without necessarily throwing anybody under the bus outwardly, right? So the fact that he still says that supporting the head coach just means that Caleb Williams understands what it takes to really kind of send a message in this. And like I said, he shows a level of media savviness that some people don't really have at his age or his inexperience in the league. But like I said before, Caleb Williams has some very good character traits that you can like as a person, but Caleb Williams has to be better on the football field. He has to be better in his execution. He has to be better at leading this team. He has to be better at connecting on guys and putting your players in a situation to be able to get the ball in their hands. There's too many situations in which the ball does not get in the hands of playmakers, and that comes down to Caleb Williams overthrowing guys. But we'll get to that in a second, right? But then when you pair this as well with comments from Kevin Byard after the game, where Kevin Byard was asked about the coaching staff, right? And, he said this, I'm not going to go there. Right, he didn't really want to get into the relationship between the coaches and the players right now. He said, at the end of the day, we got to play better. We've got to win. And so you're seeing this from almost every aspect of the team. And I've seen a lot of Bears fans recently try to blame DJ Moore. And one thing we do in Chicago sports, we always look for a scapegoat, right? Oh, well, DJ Moore's body language, he has to be better. He walked off the field. He was hurt. He was hurt, right? And at the end of the day, like, you expect somebody to have faith in a coaching staff that has continually and utterly failed at every major aspect of doing this job. And it's hard to do that. And so when you look at where things sit right now, I personally feel, this is my personal opinion, I'm not reporting on this, I haven't talked to any of the guys, it feels like Matt Eberflus has finally lost this team. Whereas last year through the adversity, it seemed like a lot of the players still supported Matt Eberflus. Now it seems like Matt Eberflus has really lost this team, and that this team does not believe in what this coaching staff is doing anymore, both on offense and defense, right? We can talk a lot about Shane Waldron and his play calling. Doesn't leave a lot to be desired. We can talk a lot about Ryan Poles and his decision to not upgrade the offensive line. Leaves a lot to be desired, but your coaching staff. And that's why these endorsements and these comments around potentially firing Matt Eberflus are getting louder and louder by the day. And Matt Eberflus isn't doing himself any favors either. Now, he was also asked, and this is what kind of started the conversation around changing play callers. He was asked this in his post-game interview. Are you willing to be fired without, that's crazy that a reporter said that. Are you willing to be fired without ever exploring the possibility that the offense could be better offensive game planning and play calling by changing the coordinator? Eberflus. Yeah, like I said, we'll look at everything. I think we'll look at everything from top to bottom and making sure that we're finding the answers to move the ball all on the field, play better as a football team on offense, defense, and special teams. Another generalized bullshit, flabbergasted answer. Now, he was asked by another reporter directly, change at the offensive play caller. Is that on the table this week? Matt Eberflus, I just said we're looking at everything. Everything is going to be looked at. Listen, and we could hear the same thing from Matt Eberflus only for so long before you got to realize, again, and I said this before, Matt Eberflus is over his head as a head coach in this league. And yes, while changing the offensive play caller, firing Shane Waldron midseason, that would be a huge indictment against Matt Eberflus as the head coach. If you fire Shane Waldron midseason, Matt Eberflus might as well start packing your bags and start getting ready and preparing your interviews, because I tell you what, my boy, you'll be back to being a defensive coordinator this offseason for another team. It won't be the Chicago Bears, and you won't be a head coach for a little while, right? And like I said before, Matt Eberflus, if he was the defensive coordinator, I would have no problems with Matt Eberflus as a DC. What he does play calling defense, what he does with scheme defense, leaves something to be desired at times. But overall, I think Matt Eberflus is a solid defensive coordinator. The problem is you were hired as a head coach. And it's time, again, as I said last week, for Matt Eberflus to go. And when you look at the reasons why, right, there are a lot of reasons why it's time to move on from Matt Eberflus. One, Caleb Williams. At this point, yes, Caleb still has to be better. I want to be clear here. Nobody is abstaining Caleb Williams, and we're going to talk about when we get back into the game. Caleb Williams has been disappointing. The last 3 weeks overall, very disappointing play from Caleb Williams. He has to be better. He has to grow. He has to adapt. But you have now made this investment. That is what it is. Caleb Williams is going to be our starting quarterback. He's going to be given another till year 3. It's probably before they'll make a decision, unless he's just completely terrible in year 2, right? Before they make a decision on doing anything different than Caleb Williams. Your investment in Caleb not only needs to be in that offensive line this offseason, it also needs to be in an offensive-minded head coach that can get the most and coach an actual offense. That's one of the first reasons, right? Now, Caleb Williams is part of the problem as well. We're not saying that he's not. At the end of the day, you can't just keep assuming that Matt Eberflus is going to make it better for the rookie quarterback you just invested in. You can't. So that's a big reason why it's time to move on from Matt Eberflus. Second, look at the number of games that the Chicago Bears have lost. Look at Matt Eberflus' record, not only as a head coach, which I believe somebody said is worse than Trestman, but also on the road. Matt Eberflus is disgusting. As a head coach, he does not make the type of decisions down the stretch that are going to win you football games. Matt Eberflus is not the coach that can elevate you in close games. He's just not that. He doesn't galvanize the roster. He doesn't pull everybody together. He doesn't do that. Matt Eberflus is probably a good guy overall, but he's not a good head coach. And so when you look at the number of losses that the Bears have had, or they shouldn't have, not to mention the 4 losses, 3 in 2023 last season to Denver, Detroit, and Cleveland, where the Bears had a over 90% chance to win the game. The one against Washington, 96% chance to win that game. And then this loss against the Patriots as well. Matt Eberflus, these are reasons that Matt Eberflus should be removed as the head coach of the Chicago Bears. And then when you look at it, he has finally lost the locker room. Before you can make a conversation about the belief in Matt Eberflus, there were still some guys in this locker room that seemed like they really believed in Matt Eberflus. Now that is all gone. It's gone. It's not there anymore. And because of that, it's further time to move on, cut the dead weight. I know they're not, I doubt they're going to do it in the middle of the season, but this needs to be the last season that Matt Eberflus is the head coach of the Chicago Bears. It's time. It's time. It's done. It's time to go. It's time to grow, and it's time to move the fuck on. Matt Eberflus is not the guy. He's just not the guy, and it's time to move on. Now, I always like to recap games the day after and go after some of the players that stood out, both good and bad, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, I got nothing good out of last. And maybe that's my own personal feeling, right? That I understand that is my being upset at where this team is right now, that I really can't. TJ Edwards, there you go. If I'm going to pull out anything good, TJ Edwards, he was good. He was all over the field yesterday. There you go. You got your good. But it's about to be a shit show because Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron continue to fail at the coaching position, and that is one of the most and loud things that sucks about this football team. Matt Eberflus is trash. Shane Waldron is also dumpster juice. These two guys together, the fact that you have these two guys that are leading your team, it's done, right? This was an atrocious showing from Matt Eberflus yesterday. It was done. When you look at the 3 straight losses, the Chicago Bears have been outscored 66-27. Caleb Williams is on pace to be sacked 72 times this season, which is the second most in NFL history, right? That is where it is. When you have Fire Flus chants breaking out at Soldier Field, yeah, one of the duds is Matt Eberflus. And Shane Waldron's offensive play calling wasn't much better at all either. The Chicago Bears put together one of their worst offensive showings in the season so far, and this is a season where we've had some very bad offensive showings. It just is. It's bad right now. And so when you look at the time of the weapons that we have here, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift, we have too many weapons to look as bad as what we do. I get it. Yes, the offensive line is going to hold some things back, but it's time for Shane Waldron to go as well. It's just time for him to go. The offensive line, absolutely terrible yesterday. 9 times was Caleb Williams sacked yesterday. 9 times. And some of those, did Caleb Williams hold on to the ball a little bit too long, big play hunting? Yeah, there was some of that. Absolutely. But When you look at, we had to move everything around. Matt Pryor moving the right tackle after playing guard and all this type of things that were there. But the offensive line, it was terrible yesterday. It was absolutely terrible. And it's tough to overlook something like that. Like the way that Caleb sacked 9 times yesterday. 9 times. It's hard to overlook that by your offensive line. And then, of course, Caleb Williams was bad yesterday. It was bad yesterday. No touchdowns, no interceptions, a QB rating of 63. He went 16 of 30, as far as completions to attempts. But when you watch this game, you see how many opportunities that Caleb Williams just overthrew his quarterbacks. And I made the joke on the post-game show yesterday, is Caleb Williams nearsighted? Is that what it is? Because the overthrows that we're seeing are bad. Bad. Caleb Williams could have easily had another probably 50 to 60 yards just in completing the wide open passes that he'd missed downfield. That's not even to mention the ones in the mid-passing game. Caleb Williams needs to get his eyesight checked, and it was a bad showing from Caleb Williams and a bad showing in a row. And you lost to Drake May. He's been outplayed now by the number 2 pick and the number 3 pick in this draft. That's just the reality of it. Now, I still think that Caleb Williams still has a heck of a career in front of him. We've seen quarterbacks with worse seasons, rookie seasons that end up being really goddamn good. But at the end of the day, you cannot ignore how bad Caleb Williams has been. Caleb Williams has been bad, and he has to be better in this. The first person that Caleb Williams needs to hold accountable is Caleb Williams. You have to be better than this, especially if you want to be a guy that wants to be judged by Super Bowls. Hell, we can't even judge you by completions made yet, right? Let's not get the cart before the horse. Can we judge you by the way you're able to make completions? Can we judge you by the way you're able to put your wide receivers in good position? Can we judge you by that? Very bad showing yesterday in that case, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Very bad showing from those aspects of the football game, and we got to be better. We must be better in our execution, and we'll see if we can get better over the course of this season. But I want to hear from you guys as well. We got 2 voicemails to play. This one's from Fred.
Hey, what up? This is your boy Fred. Man, I'm sitting up there watching the show. I see you had to cook. People don't be understanding, man. When the Bears lose, people got to leave us alone. Keep bullshit people just don't fuck with us. They got to let us cool off. And I guess home didn't understand because you goddamn was on one Sunday, man. But, man, I feel you because this shit is ridiculous, man. Them coaches got to go. Brian Poles, he got to be held accountable, too, because you hired fools. Because you want to sit here and fuck around and ruin another quarterback. Like, when is the cycle going to stop with this team, man? Like, it got to stop. They can't expect us to support them and spend our money and shit, going to games, merchandise and all that shit, and y'all give us shit in of the stick. Get the right fucking coach. It's time to get out that old style of football. Get the right coaches. Get the right players, man. We got the best fan base in the world, man. We deserve a winning team, man. Like, come on. The Bears got to get their shit together, man. And it start with the front office. This ain't right. You knew you was drafting a rookie quarterback. You could have stayed here and got line. He could have done better what he did with the line this offseason. I'm sorry. You don't draft a rookie quarterback and then you give him a shit line. These coaches, they not doing their job. It's time for Eberflus, Waldron, and Chris Morgan to go, man. This shit is sad. Every year we got to keep, as fans, we got to keep going through this shit. It ain't right for us fans, man. It ain't. It definitely ain't right. We got to sit and watch every other team thrive, winning, doing right, and we can't get it right. And we want an original team. It's sad, man. It's just fucked up how the front office, how they do us fans, man. And it's like, I don't even know what to say. Shit got to get better, man. They don't see this, man. I don't even know what else to say, man. But you don't even know what you think, Haize, man. I definitely feel where you coming from. You know, I don't blame you for snapping off on dude, man. You gotta understand, they gotta leave us alone, Bears fans, when we hot. They gotta let us, just leave us alone. But let me know what you think, big dog. Chicago up, Bear down, all the way down.
Yeah, bro, it's time for the coaches to go. I mean, listen, if Shane Waldron's not fired this week, I don't know what, it starts the clock on Matt Eberflus, but guess what? Matt Eberflus has already failed. Yes, firing Shane Waldron midseason is a huge sign that he failed in his decision to go out and sign Shane Waldron. But yes, we already know it's a failure, so there's no fucking shock there. Fire him. Fire him. At this point, it's just time to move on. It's just time to move on. And maybe a different look, maybe a different voice, maybe a different perspective can help something, salvage something at the end of the season. But listen, all you motherfuckers are gone at the end of the season anyway. The offensive line coach gone. Shane Waldron's probably he's gone, right? And a lot of y'all are gone at the end of this season. You hired an offensive staff that all basically came from the same tree to limit the terminology difference. The fact that they're all on the same page because they all come from the same methodology, and it's been nothing. We've reaped not a single benefit from that. It's time for all these motherfuckers to go. So yes, it's time to go. And as far as the Bears getting it right, here's what I'll say. At the end of the day, you're right. Now, I'm not worried about the cycle of firing coaches that aren't bad. I'm worried about the cycle of why do we keep hiring the wrong coach? Go out in there and let's hire the right coach finally for once. Much like when the Chicago Bulls finally hired Tom Thibodeau and we finally had a coach that now they ended up shitting that in the bed because Paxson couldn't put, business before personality. But, at the end of the day, you need better. And so hopefully the Bears can really go out there and get a coach that you can actually develop with and can build a system and can be here for a decade. We need that. We haven't had that. We need that. All right, let's get into the last voicemail for today, and this one's from Brad.
Gentlemen, this your boy Brad from the Bay Area, representing Chicago. But check this out. I know I called earlier, and I dropped a whole bunch of F-bombs and shit on y'all voicemail, and I apologize for that. I was in my emotions, but I've had time to calm down. But here's the thought. Based on what I saw on the field today, could it just be that these players don't really believe in Caleb Williams? I mean, just hear me out. These days, these young dudes want to simplify everything and make everything seem so easy, and that they can just come in and do things so easy, and they got this blind confidence that shit gonna be easy because it's been easy-ish throughout their whole careers, thus making them a number one pick. And sometimes that don't sit well with other people, especially when the shit get real and it's not easy. So I don't know. I ain't got nothing against Caleb Williams. I was on board with the Bears after they drafted him, but I was in Jaden Daniels' camp after they decided they was going to get rid of Justin. I said, go ahead and trade back and get Jaden Daniels and get some fucking extra picks or whatever you was going to get and build that old line. But they didn't do that. But here we are. We can't go back. But I think the locker room is just sort of turned off by Caleb Williams' initial arrogance. And now that the shit is hard, he ain't got no answers. And he is supposed to be the savior and supposed to walk on water, so to speak. And it's just not fucking happening. How the fuck you gonna score 3 points against the Patriots? How's that possible? How's that possible? I got up early this morning and watched 2-2-7 teams go neck and neck scoring points. And the Chicago Bears with all these fucking weapons can't even barely get in the motherfucking red zone if they even did today against a 2-7 team. Tomorrow, I think that Eberflus or somebody need to be fired. The Chicago Bears organization need to lay the groundwork for what's acceptable and what's unacceptable. And right here, this is unacceptable. And if they
do the players not believe in Caleb Williams? Here's the thing, personally, right? And this is just my personal feel. I don't think that Caleb Williams has lost the locker room. I think that he earned the respect of these guys. I think the bigger thing is that the coaches have lost the faith from the players more than Caleb has. That's just my personal opinion. Now, I'm not saying that Caleb can't. I'm not saying that there aren't maybe some side eyes like, hey, Caleb, like, we need you to be better, my boy. Like, there's definitely that, but I don't think that they've lost it to the sense where it's like, oh, we're just going to give up because we got Caleb Williams as quarterback. I think right now, the biggest thing that the locker room is probably all on the same page about is the coaches. I think that's who's lost the faith mostly, is the coaching staff personally, but that's not to say that it can't happen, right? And it's not to say that maybe that ain't the future, but right now, I'm going to lean more on the side that the coaching staff has lost faith from the players, more so than it being Caleb Williams personally. But I guess we'll continue to see that as this season develops as well. But that's my time. Make sure you guys are following the show at Shy Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.